just so I know a little bit about what I'm going to talk about. So please forgive me, but perhaps together we can explore something about the topic we are engaged in here with Srimad Bhagavatam. Of course, I was also challenged by the content of our verses. It's not like those verses and purports where Prabhupada goes into so many aspects of Krishna consciousness that one simply has to read and reflect and maybe add a little bit. But in these verses, what am I going to talk about? Of course, I first thought of, well, hey, my name is Pancharatna, and this is about jewels, and so maybe I could. But that didn't help much. I did take something from this purport that stimulated me, because Prabhupada here, I don't know if I'm alone in this, perhaps any of you have also been sort of bewildered by the concept of gems which illuminate. Have you? I've been bewildered by this. I've never seen gems on their own lighting up a room. I mean, I can't even, how does that work? But here Srila Prabhupada does give a little hint, because he says they give off reflective light. So I began to think, well, these particular gems, I mean, now I'm entering, this is just so how unqualified I am, that here I am sitting in this seat and I'm going to speculate. That's not what we're supposed to do. But what can I do? I'm trying to understand something that I don't understand. And so I'm trying to find a way to understand it rather than rejecting it. Because when we're faced with topics like this that we don't understand, we have a choice. We can say it's mythology. It's just imaginary. It's just a story. And say that it has a very good lesson. Yes, there, as all stories, good stories do, they teach us something, but they're not factual. They're not real. And that approach is unfortunately this approach that most of the population of India, who knows and repeats these stories again and again, I don't know if prior to whether it's entirely the British influence that began to introduce the term mythology, or whether there was already some similar term in circulation in various Indian languages that basically consign the Puranas, the Bhagavatam, and all of these stories to myth. Myth meaning not real, not actual history, but valuable. There was a historian, Joseph Campbell, wrote a famous book called The Power of Myth. Myth can be very, very powerful. There are myths. We ourselves have to be careful about some mythology that comes in, even in terms of their Prabhupada myths, that, oh, Prabhupada said this, but he never said it. And yet people move about their lives because the power, because to hear something that, oh, the story is that Prabhupada did this or Prabhupada did that, and then that power, even though it's a myth. So we have a choice when we hear things that are difficult to understand. We can put them aside as, well, not real. which means that we think we're smarter than, than anyone. Or we can seek for some understanding, or we can simply say, I just don't understand. It's a mystery. Today I would like to explore other mysteries of this chapter. This was a mystery to me, which is a little bit now being, the mystery of how do gems spread light on their own. Here, some hint is given that the light is reflected. It's light that is somehow captured by the power of those gems and spread. And we have experience of this. I mean, if anyone has, you've seen in the before electric power, then those who could afford it, they would construct chandeliers. And the chandeliers were made of crystal. Now, crystal is not ordinary glass. Crystal is glass embedded with lead. And the quality of the crystal is that it enhances it, it reflects better. Of course, it also has some refraction ability as well. But it enhances it increases the illumination of the candles that were used in these chandeliers. So we can understand that these gems had even more power to illuminate the space. Another reflection that came to me reading these verses was a sort of a comparison. These verses describe an extraordinarily opulent environment. Extremely opulent. And it was Devahuti's desire and Kardama's conception that to stimulate their sensual affair, which is another mystery which I'll go to, how these yogis and yogini, Devahuti was a yogini. We heard in the early part of this chapter how she herself was proficient in all the 8 activities of Ashtanga Yoga. Prabhupada enumerates them. It was not just Kardama who was a great yogi. She was a great yogini. But this yogi and yogini come together as man and wife. Now there is, of course, an entire backstory to this. Kardama's been ordered. His father has ordered him. So he has that in his mind. I'm ordered. And later, when he actually has darshan of, well, first he has the darshan of Krishna comes to him to help him fulfill that order. And then later, when Kapila appears, he also interacts. And he said, now my order is complete. So the order of Brahma was the primary impetus for Kardama's desire to be married and to beget children, in order to populate the universe. Now this, of course, is not simply a service to Lord Brahma. As we find when the Lord appears, he says, this is my will that this universe is populated by good progeny. The whole affair of this material world starts off very, kind of hopefully. We've got extraordinary personalities, both men and women, who combine together, have extraordinary children, extraordinary dynasties, opulence, and it's quite a promising affair for the jivas that desire to enjoy in this world. And that's Krishna's arrangement. He says, I bring forth these worlds. I bring forth, along with yajna, so that you can enjoy. And we'll see how throughout the Bhagavatam, when we hear the histories of our universe, how the progenitors brought forth all the various elements required to make for Satya Yuga. But as Krishna says, Kalosmi, I am time. And as time progresses, everything deteriorates. So, somehow, because of the order of Brahma, Kardama is intent, and Devahuti is intent, to have children. And Kardama wanting to bring forth illustrious children creates the most appropriate atmosphere for just the most... this is where the mystery comes. Okay. When we read the texts, it's described that everything's being arranged for ultimate pleasure. When we hear about the purpose of sex life in bhakti, we hear that it's for bringing children, but not for pleasure. So there's a mystery here, and I won't attempt to solve it. Maybe later we have some time. You can help solve this particular mystery. But in order to create that environment, Kardama manifests an extraordinary palace. And I was thinking about this in relationship to what we were singing just now, in the beginning. We sing before reciting Srimad Bhagavatam, we sing this beautiful song. Jaya Radha Madhava, Kunja Bihari. Madhava, for his love, to enhance his love, does not go to palaces. He doesn't go into, at least in Vrindavan. In Dwarka, yes, he has extraordinary palaces. But in Vrindavan, to experience the highest love, he goes to the forest. And there, the kunjas, they're not like what we see in our gardens. There's a beautiful, beautiful drama called Madhava Mahotsava. How many of you have heard or Madhava Mahotsava? You've heard of it? You must have heard of it. Maybe. You didn't? Okay. Madhava Mahotsava is by Jiva, correct? Jiva Goswami, isn't it? He wrote it. And the story that I heard was that Rupa Goswami, who wrote several dramas, one of them is Dana Keli Komudi, that I think you, and whoever, please don't be shy to correct me. Is Kishore here? I don't know if he's here. Anyway, or his good wife. If I make a mistake in any of this, just say, no, it's... In Dhanakeli Komadi, we have the wonderful Leela of Krishna trying to exact tax from Sri Radha and the gopis as they're progressing from cross Manasi Ganga and via Giriraj. And it's a wonderful drama. And there's things are going back and forth, and I am representing the king, and you pay the tax, and who are you? And it's just a Leela. And at one point, Purnamasi shows up and says, you claim to represent the king, but here is Sri Radha, she is the queen of Vrindavan. And things go on like this. So Rupa at one point asked Jiva, write a drama on how Sri Radha is coronated as the queen of Vrindavan. So this is called Mahadava Mahotsava, and it's an extraordinary drama. In the drama, how you should say, the dramatic tension of it, there is all these arrangements trying to make Chandravali to become the queen of Vrindavan. Anyway, it's wonderful. But when the time actually comes, then Vrindadevi, she makes a palace, a Kunj palace. And this description in Madhava Mahotsav, it puts, what's described here pales. These are gems and stones and gold and so on that are opulent, but they're lifeless. They're in fact, in not only are they lifeless, they're there by the mystic power. How they even exist is mysterious. But the kunj for Sri Radha and Krishna, the kunj in which Sri Radha is coronated, is creepers and flowers that make an architectural splendor with rooms. It's all alive. It's all alive. Krishna's home, where he enjoys, is aware, conscious. We were very stimulated, I think it was last year, Jadumya Maharaj gave a talk in Vrindavan about the trees of Vrindavan. Sometimes we think about trees and we think this is Shantaras, it is like, but then the trees, they make kunjas. And they're there. They're directly participating in the Madhurya Ras of Radha and Krishna. How worshipable the trees are. Not only is Krishna fond of the forest trees for his kunj, he's fond of the forest flowers for his mala. And he's fond even of gunja berries. Now, gunja berries and diamonds are like the opposite, right? A gunja berry, most of you, I hope you've seen, gunja berry is a small, reddish, hard, like seed, growing on a thorny bush. And yet Krishna likes kunja berry mala. He likes the sense of the forest, the aguru that come from the trees, the musk from the musk deer, the wild scents, the wild flowers, the wild forest. He enjoys the rasa dance, not in a ballroom with chandeliers and disco lights, but with the light of the moon. And what does he do? Jamuna tiravana chari. He wanders. He strolls on the banks, in the forest, on the banks of the Jamuna. So this palace of Kardama and Devahuti is designed to give rise to their sensual affair, to produce good children. It's described, and of course, as I said, it's a bit of a mystery to me. These are yogis. Why do they need? Perhaps that's why they need this. Because if they didn't have it, they're such yogis that they couldn't, forget it. They need to be pulled in and somehow just made so filled with the opulence and the pleasure domes of the palace that they, all right, yes, okay. Now we can bring forth children. And then, of course, it's so extraordinary that Kardama, now this is interesting. I don't quite understand this. There's another mystery, because it says that he expands himself into 9 Kardamas. But it doesn't say that Devahuti expands herself into 9 Devahutis. So anyway, I don't understand how that all works. Another mystery. As I said, this chapter has many, many mysteries. But the first reflection I had was this comparison of how this arrangement is designed to bring forth children, to bring forth progeny, to populate the universe. But Krishna's arrangement is designed to bring forth love after love after love of prema without any tinge of mundane, sensual, sexual activity. I was thinking, what am I going to talk about? Jewels and palaces. I've talked a little bit about that, but then I thought, well, Devahuti. Maybe I could talk a little bit about Devahuti. She's, well, next to Kapila Dev. Kapila, she's the star of this section of this canto. And her character and her story is mysterious. As we said, she's a yogini. She's expert in all 8 processes. That means she has dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. It doesn't describe that she has the mystic siddhis, but it does describe that she's proficient. That means she has great power. Dharana, dhyana, samadhi, this is no easy affair, and this is what Prabhupada points to, and when he talks about this in these purports, he says that this is not easy. And I think all of us have the experience because we're trying. At least I know I'm trying. When I sit down to chant the holy names of Krishna, I'm trying to at least have this dharana. And it's so hard. Dharana is that focus. Which, what to speak of moving from dharana to dhyana, where you're absorbed. Our path is to come to asakti. We're meant to progress from anartha nivritti to nishta. So nishta is like dharana, it's a steady focus, which brings forth ruchi. And then we progress. For us, our dhyana is asakti, where our attraction to Krishna is so strong that we can't be anything else but attracted to Krishna. Of course, that then gives rise to bhav, which ultimately matures when all anartha is gone, all envy, all thought of oneself as the object, or I should say the subject. I've often had occasion to repeat something I read, which I can't find now. I have to look. Where his Divine Grace Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Maharaj, Prabhupada's godbrother, describes his epiphany. The epiphany is sort of a moment of enlightenment, a revelation, where he describes how it came to him. It came to him. I am not the subject of enjoyment. I am the object of Krishna's enjoyment. That's who I am. That's who we are. We're not the subjects. We want to be the subject. That's our disease. That's our disease. We envy the subject, Krishna. We want to be the subject of it. I will enjoy aham, mameti. It is me, it is mine, paramo. That's the greatest. We have to reverse it all and realize that we are emanations of God.